Is printing money on your bucket list? Too easy, if you are a king or a queen. Oh, you're short on royal blood? Poor you. How about creating your own, not-so-stellar crypto? Even better, get yourself a banking license, and should your financial empire crumble, relax, there's a government bailout with your name on it. If you're keen to unravel the mystery of money's history and how it's fabricated, stick around, just like those retirees did with their savings during GFC. You're on Curiosity Corner. It's a cold, hard fact. Money makes the world go round. But have you ever stopped to think about why? What gives a piece of paper or a chunk of metal its value? Why do we as a society agree to trade these objects for goods and services? Welcome, my friends, to our journey into the history and evolution of money, a concept as old as civilization, yet as ever-changing as society. This journey will take us back to our earliest ancestors who traded shells and stones, to the cryptic codes of blockchain currencies of today. Hold on to your seats because it will be a wild ride. From shells to coins, from gold to paper, from credit cards to digital currency, we're about to take a deep dive into how money has shaped and been shaped by human society. But what really is money? A token of trust, a measure of wealth, or a simple tool of exchange? And as we move towards a digital future, what does the evolution of money mean for you, me, and the society we live in? Our story began thousands of years ago in an era where money, as we know it today, was an alien concept. In these ancient times, barter was the primary form of exchange. Needed a new spear? Well, how about trading those nice rabbit skins you have? But as you can imagine, this system had its drawbacks. What if you needed a spear, but all you had were apples? What if the spear maker didn't like apples? This problem led our ancestors to start using objects that had a universally agreed upon value, like shells, stones, and even livestock. These were the first forms of currency, a medium of exchange that everybody could agree on. But why these items? What was it about shells or cows that made people decide they were valuable? That's where our story gets interesting. It's not so much about the objects themselves, but what they represent. Trust. Trust that these objects will still hold value tomorrow or next year. Trust that others would accept them in trade. But how did we go from shells and stones to coins? And what role did trust play in that evolution? From shells and stones to coins, the transformation was no small feat. It was a journey marked by the gradual centralization of power and the formation of early states and empires. These societies started minting coins to symbolize their authority, effectively standardizing the value of different goods and services. These first coins were essentially a promise, a declaration by the ruling power. Trust us, this piece of metal holds value. Trust was crucial in this evolution. Without confidence in the authority or the system itself, the value of these coins would crumble and trade would become chaotic. This trust took a tangible form around 600 BC in ancient Lydia, present-day Turkey. The Lydians minted the first coins, small, standardized pieces of metal stamped with a seal guaranteeing their weight and purity. These coins revolutionized commerce, making transactions quicker and more efficient. It was a leap forward that paved the way for the expansion of markets, cities, and empires. But with the advent of coinage came new challenges. Counterfeiting, for instance. How did ancient societies ensure the authenticity of these coins? And what happened when trust was betrayed? We'll delve into these mysteries as our journey takes us from the world of metal to the world of paper. Trust was paramount in the world of coins, and maintaining that trust became a societal necessity. Ancient societies used various methods to ensure authenticity, from standardizing weights and measures to intricate designs that were difficult to replicate. When trust was betrayed through counterfeit or devalued coins, economies could collapse, and societies could descend into chaos. But as societies expanded, the limitations of coins became clear. Bulky, heavy, and inconvenient for large transactions, an alternative was needed. Enter paper money, a concept that originated in China during the Tang Dynasty around the 7th century AD. These early notes, known as jiaozi, started as receipts. They were promises that you could exchange this piece of paper for a certain amount of coinage. This made commerce significantly more manageable for merchants and wholesalers who no longer had to transport large quantities of coins. This transition was not without its challenges. For instance, what would happen if a government issued more paper notes than it had in coins to back them up? And how did people react when the value of their paper money was suddenly nullified? And how did the rest of the world respond to this monetary innovation from China? As we progress, we'll tackle these issues head-on and delve into a golden era of the history of money, the era of the gold standard. The rest of the world watched China's monetary innovation with keen interest. It took centuries, but paper money eventually made its way to Europe, the Middle East, and beyond, changing the dynamics of trade and commerce. The advent of paper money brought significant trials to overcome. What happened when a government issued more notes than it could back with coins? The short answer? Inflation. Paper money could become devalued, even worthless. This happened numerous times in history, causing financial crises, social unrest, and reshaping the economic landscape. How did people react when the value of their paper money suddenly plummeted? As you might guess, it often led to chaos and confusion. Trust in governments wavered, savings were lost, and people sought tangible assets as a safe haven. During the 19th century, nations worldwide began tying their currency's value to a specific amount of gold. This reassured people of the value of their money and brought stability. However, the gold standard wasn't infallible. It was vulnerable to gold discoveries, causing inflation and economic shocks, leading to painful deflations. So why did we choose gold as the standard? What led to the abandonment of the gold standard, and how did it lay the foundation for the era of fiat money? Join me in the next segment as we delve into these questions, exploring the demise of the gold standard and the birth of fiat money. Gold was chosen as the standard for many reasons. Its rarity, durability, and universal appeal made it an ideal candidate. But beyond that, gold was hard to mine and limited in supply, which gave it an inherent value that people trusted. Yet, the gold standard's rigidity could also be a weakness. When economies faced downturns, governments were restricted from injecting more money into their economies because they were constrained by the amount of gold they had. This limitation became painfully evident during the economic crises of the Great Depression. These economic realities, coupled with the devastating impact of two world wars, led to the slow abandonment of the gold standard during the 20th century. The Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944 was pivotal, transitioning from gold to the US dollar as the world's reserve currency, a fiat system. This brings us to the fiat money era, where currencies are not backed by a physical commodity like gold. Instead, the value of fiat money is based on the trust and confidence of those who use it, a concept maintained by governments and central banks. Yet, with all its triumphs and challenges, the story of money doesn't stop here. What of the future? As technology continues to evolve, so does money. We stand on the brink of yet another monetary transformation: cryptocurrencies, digital currencies, and perhaps even the end of physical cash. In the final segment, we will dive into the fascinating realm of the future of money, exploring the possibilities and potential pitfalls in our increasingly digital world. As we reach the final chapter in our saga, we're standing on the edge of the future, peering into a realm where physical cash may become a relic of the past. The dawn of the digital era has given rise to cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, digital currencies issued by central banks, and revolutionary payment technologies. Cryptocurrencies powered by blockchain technology promise decentralization, privacy, and global accessibility. Yet, they also raise questions about stability, legality, and security. Meanwhile, many central banks worldwide are exploring the idea of issuing their own digital currencies, reshaping the way we think about money yet again. But what are the implications of such a monumental shift? Will it lead to greater financial inclusion or usher in new challenges and risks? And let's not forget about the rapidly evolving field of payment technologies. contactless payments, mobile wallets, and peer-to-peer transfer apps are all reshaping our relationship with money, making transactions faster, easier, and often more secure. The future of money is uncharted territory, teeming with possibilities and fraught with questions. One thing, however, is clear: the story of money, as with all stories, continues to evolve. From the ancient origins of money to the cutting edge of digital currency, we've seen how money is more than just a physical entity. It's a symbol of trust, a tool of exchange, and a reflection of the society that uses it. The evolution of money tells us a story about human progress, our changing needs and values, and our continuous quest for efficiency and security. Today, we stand on the cusp of a new era where the lines between money, technology, and identity are increasingly blurred. As we look to the future, we're left to wonder, what will the next chapter in the story of money look like? Will cryptocurrencies become the norm? Will physical money become a thing of the past? We don't have all the answers, but one thing is sure: the story of money, like our own stories, is ongoing, full of twists and turns, successes and failures. Let's keep asking questions as we move forward into this uncertain future. To continue your learning journey, click on this video we selected for you. Stay curious, my friends, and continue exploring this fascinating journey of evolution, because after all, it's our story.